Some French princes that became old dirty bastards. Spent half their life off their nut getting plastered. 2 decades later after they first met, now chatting shit on your TV set. It's Scotty Motty, Scotty Motty, Scotty Motty, Scotty Motty, Scotty Motty.
Now, I said to get some party banners or some, bangers or what do you call them? Popper things.
Party poppers.
Party poppers. The things you forgot.
What, because Ruben Amorim's taking over
Yes.
Manchester
Oh,
United?
happy Ruben Amorim Day.
Happy Ruben Amorim Day. Are you excited about it?
Over the moon. Over the moon.
Yeah, was he your sort of preferred choice of the candidates that are out there?
I thought so. As soon as he'd been announced, I said he was the one we should get.
I'm the same. I've been a big fan of his sporting side for at least the last 2.5 weeks, if not 3.
If you go back down Wikipedia, you go to his Braga times. Phenomenal success. But Sporting Lisbon paid 10 million euros
for him, and we got him for 10 million. It's a bargain, that, considering what he's done there.
Inflation.
It is inflation, and we also spent an extra €1 million to get him early, didn't we?
Did we need him early? Ruud did a fantastic job.
He did, didn't he? We have to say this is, it's a happy and a sad time because Ruud van Nistelrooy is leaving the club. But I think he's done a bit of a Michael Carrick.
Yeah?
He's shone Annie in his caretaker role.
Do you think if it had gone badly, he would have been tarnished his legacy?
He could have lost every single game as caretaker manager and he wouldn't have tarnished his legacy at all.
No,
I don't think anyone would have judged him, especially considering what he inherited. But I think the way he handled himself in the media, the results, the football, it was good. I don't want to get carried away and say it was unbelievable because also the fixtures were relatively kind, although we've had kind of fixtures this season and not got any wins out of them. So I think it was just, in many ways, it was like the perfect sort of caretaker spell, and the way he's left, he leaves on a good note in terms of the fans still love him, respect him for the way he's handled himself and the results he got, and I wish him well. And I also actually think, despite the fact I was saying I'd like to see him stay on, I can understand why he's not.
I think it's the right move for him not to stay on. For Amorim's point of view, I just think he goes in and it shows confidence that he doesn't need that sort of crutch to go in and lean on someone. Obviously, you can look back to the likes of David Moyes, who wanted to do things his own way, but he was taking over, the winning machine. So he didn't really change much. Whereas Amorim, it looks like needs to be wholesale changes behind the door.
Do you have any concerns, Scotty, that Amorim's 39? I think some of his coaches are even younger than that. I think late 20s, early 30s. Do you have any worries about that? The fact that they are very young on the whole. I wouldn't say inexperienced. He's been at Sporting for about 4 years now, or whatever it is. So he's got some experience, but the size of the job and the scale of the rebuild, if you will, that's needed after the results we've had both last season and this. Does that worry at all? Do you think, no, we need someone maybe like that, a bit younger and dynamic?
Well, if you look at the sort of list of managers that we've had, we've had the greats or the former greats in like Van Gaal or Mourinho. We had the former club legend in Solskjaer. We had the chosen one. With Moyes, we had the up and coming sort of European elite manager in Ten Hag. So maybe like getting a young buck. Is he the first Man United manager that's younger than you?
In my lifetime, yeah. Despite what some people have said in certain comments, look, I wasn't around when Matt Busby was appointed, so you can fuck off with that, right?
But I don't have any concerns about his age. No, he seems to have been quite ruthless. Again, I'll refer to my searching on the Wikipedia page of the amount of players that he got rid of during his time at Sporting. Yeah. Like 70 players or around that he managed to sort of get out the door. So as long as he's backed by the board with what he wants to do, rather than be able to go, behind his back to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, say it's not really working out with this one. Can we get a new one?
Yeah. Well, this is their appointment, innit? This is their guy. Ten Hag wasn't. They made it clear as well. They didn't really fancy him because you don't interview.
They didn't fancy him. They didn't want him.
No, it was just like he'd won the FA Cup. The other options weren't great. Thomas Tuchel, me and you've spoken about this extensively. It seems a little bit like he didn't fancy coming to United under the conditions they wanted him to, and they weren't keen on him, bending their sort of ways to suit him, if that makes any sort of sense. The other, we were in Gareth Southgate a couple of times, which filled me with dread. The other names, Thomas Frank, decent manager at Brentford, but not won out. Graham Potter did a good job at Brighton, disastrous at Chelsea. Again, not really won anything of note. Ruben Amorim has won Portuguese league a couple of times. I don't think you can ignore that, especially considering the end of the 19-year drought for Sporting. And this season, we're getting a manager who is flying at the minute. Was it Sporting? Was it 11 out of 11 in the league? Is it something like that they've won? Just beating Manchester City. I know everyone beats Manchester City nowadays, but you can't ignore that. To go 1-0 down and win 4-1, which was great for a multitude of reasons, especially not because it shut up Noel Gallagher for the utter nonsense he was banging on about during commentary. I don't even know what he was doing on that, by the way. So you can't ignore all that. You think this is a manager who's flying. So I get there's going to be comparisons with Eric Ten Hag. The two main differences, I would say, are the fact that he's got a little bit more charisma than Eric Ten Hag, and I'm not just trying to look for
He's got a lot more charisma than Ten
positives,
Hag.
but you see how he carries himself. And this is a man who's sort of slap bang in the middle of winning constantly. I know Eric Ten Hag came off the back of, I think he just won the League of Ajax. I think he lost the cup final. It was in one of his last games. But Amorim's absolutely flying. We'll have to wait and see, though, because I'm not going to pretend I've not been here before. I have. I've gotten carried away and giddy. I wanted Ten Hag. I thought he had the options. He was the right one at the time. Amorim, I'm not going to pretend that he was the name on my list, but when I was looking at it, or when we didn't even have much time to think about it, did we? Because it was like we sat Ten Hag and it was like...
That's what makes this signing a lot better than previous, because under the likes of Woodward's stewardship, Ruud Van Nistelrooy would have got the job until the summer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There was only the Jose one that was quick. The others were... The Solskjaer one, and I keep going back to this, and I liked Solly, and for many times it was the most enjoyable period of being a United fan post-Fergie. But that whole appointing him permanently off the back of 2 defeats or after 2 defeats was insane, because it didn't make any sense. He got knocked out of the FA Cup, we dropped out of the top 4, and then you give him the job. And then David Moyes he shouldn't have got the job in the first place. That was just insane. The whole Ragnick thing didn't work out the way it was meant to, where he was gonna come in and then move upstairs, because that reliant on the manager wanting to keep him on, and obviously Eric Ten Hag didn't want anything to do with him. He didn't even meet him. I think they had a phone call, which just shows how much he respected him. So that was just nonsensical. This does feel a little bit more like a plan, including with some of the signings, because you look at Emmanuel Ugarte, who was obviously at Sporting, who Eric Ten Hag never really seemed to fancy. The fact we have brought in quality at centre-backs, I know we needed to.
Euro as well, and make 3 centre-backs at the back.
Mazraoui looks like someone who could play as a wing-back. We've already got decent options in the 10 in the likes of Bruno and Mason Mount, and maybe even Eriksen, if you wanted to
Ahmad could play there.
Ahmad, a great shout. I think he's sort of tailor-made for that role. So we have got options. The one thing I think he's got to solve that is a difficult one, we spoke about this on Paddock. We did a little bit of a mini list of things he has to fix. I know you could have done a list that's like 500 items long, but one of them was, what's going to happen with the striker and the goals, because I think, if I'm being kind, the jury's still out on both Højlund and Xerxes. I know Xerxes just arrived, but that is a bit of an issue for me. That he's going to have to fix, and he's going to have to try and fix it at least until January without any signings, because obviously he can't come in and buy anyone.
Do you think it was the reason we're not been scoring could be down to the system rather than just sort of the quality of the strikers? Obviously, he likes to play with defensive wingers, I think he refers to them to. Now, a lot of the problems with Højlund is he's not getting the crosses into the box to sort of get on the end of. So with a change in the system, do you not think that will sort of accommodate Højlund a little bit better? And if you look at how just the smiles and how lighter on the feet the players have been under Ruud Van Nistelrooy, you're going to expect a balance anyway, regardless, unless he comes in and tries to do his new formation straight away and it's confusing for a lot of the players. I just think that we've not been scoring goals due to the sort of style of football we've been playing under Ten Hag, as much as it is down to the sort of ability of a Højlund or maybe the mood of a Marcus Rashford. But we certainly look better against Leicester than I'd seen us play any time recently under Ten Hag. There's lots of things positive about.
We did. But I think there was still question marks about the strikers, which worries me a little bit. That's why I think the jury's out, because I get your point, but like, we've seen Xerxes miss sitters. And I know it's only early doors, but I don't think that, you look at them sitters against Southampton, was it, and Liverpool, like, I don't know, but I'll wait and see. Does a new manager make him score those goals? You look at Højlund, and he just seems to have lost his way a little bit. And I think, maybe there's a way that the system... I think out of those two players, I think the system change would help Højlund more than Xerxes. Because I think Xerxes gets in good positions. As soon as... Who was it he came on against the other week? Was it Chelsea? where he came on and straight away was in the box and he was getting on the end of things. And I think he tends to get on the end of things a little bit more than Højlund does. And I know it's early doors. I get we've not got a large sample size. Højlund tends to drop deep running the channels a little bit more. Xerxes can drop deep, but Højlund definitely, he's holding the ball up all the time, these big long balls. So I think a change of system might benefit Højlund more. Xerxes, I think, for me, it's been more about his finishing. So it'll be interesting to see if and I hope he can, Amorim can get a tune out of these. And also as well, we speak to Finn from the Academy Review quite a lot. I know it's only early days yet. What is he, 16 or whatever? But I think further down the line, we might even see Cheetah or we might even feature him for Ruben Amorim. He's definitely one for the future. And if this is a manager who's coming in, not just for now, but for the future, as well as all young, that could be a player who gets a tune out of.
What do you sort of see for this season then? Obviously, we've not kicked the ball under him. It's his first day in office today. Are you trying to not be optimistic? My heart's going, we're going to win the Europa League, top 4, and the Carabao.
I agree with all that, and the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I think we can get top 4. I genuinely think that. I think the only sort of slight doubt I've got is over goal scoring, because I don't know if a system change is automatically going to get us loads of goals. I hope it does, but I don't know. But I think you look at all the top teams, they're all struggling. Other than Liverpool, it pains me to say it, everyone's had a bit of a struggle. Arsenal haven't looked like they have in previous years. City haven't. Spurs, are 1 point above us. Villa are all over the gaff at the minute. I think they're struggling to balance Champions League and the league. Who am I missing? Who else is in that mix?
The mighty Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest, they're probably going to fall off at some point. They might not do, but you'd expect them to eventually. Newcastle are erratic. There's
the place is up for grabs.
I think that's half the battle. If the top 4 was sort of solid and winning most games, or the top 2 was set in stone, as usually happens, it's usually City and someone else. You go right, well, that's out of the picture. You've got 3rd and 4th place to fight for. This time, it feels like there's an opportunity for United if we got our act together, and it's a big if to get into that top 4.
All right, here's a question for you. So Ruben Amorim comes in. A player that will benefit most from his appointment, and a player who may fear his future under his appointment.
A player who may fear his future under his appointment, I think, at the minute, could be Marcus Rashford. His form seems to have gone out the window, and Ruben Amorim doesn't owe him anything. Eric Ten Hag, he scored 30 goals for Eric Ten Hag in a season, so Eric Ten Hag is always going to look at him favourably. Ruben Amorim might not do that, and I hope I'm wrong. You know my thoughts on Marcus, but let's be honest. A player that may benefit under Ruben Amorim, I think you mentioned him, Diallo. I think he's going into this 4. As Amorim's arriving, Diallo's flavour of the month and flying, and he's getting games and he's scoring goals and the crowd are loving him. So it's tailor-made for him to continue, and he seems to fit in that role. So those are the go on, I'll ask you the question before we wrap up. The same question.
Well, I just think Ugarte that's played under Amorim before. Some of the question marks over Ten Hag that I had previously have only been amplified in his absence.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
Why weren't Ugarte starting?
Why was Ahmad not starting ahead of Anthony? And
it's like almost Jose style sabotage, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. And I'd have to agree with the Marcus Rashford.
Sad to say, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're all very fond of Marcus, but I'm not too sure if he wants to be at the club anymore. It just doesn't feel like that. And like I said, Amorim doesn't owe him anything. And maybe if Marcus isn't happy, it's for the best for both clubs. But I can't see where the hell he goes.
Well, we'll wait and see. The Amorim revolution is underway. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Scotty. I've been Motty. Thanks for watching.